Hello, I'm Anon Fraser, and I am representing the League of Women Voters here in New Ulm. And I have the privilege of being here today with Superintendent Sean Koster from the New Ulm Public School. Welcome, Superintendent Koster. Well, you've been here a year. You made it through your first year. You haven't gone screaming and yelling. For those that don't know you, give us some background. What transpired before New Ulm?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having me. My privilege to be here and to be a guest and to be able to talk to New Ulm and the surrounding communities. A little bit about myself. I grew up in northern Minnesota, small town, North Shore of Lake Superior, 1,800 students. So or 800 people, and class of 39 graduates. So when I look at small town Minnesota, and I think about greater Minnesota, New Ulm's felt like home. It's really been a good year, a good first year. A lot of things that make me feel at home, from like having the shopper as something again. I haven't had that since I grew up, and
Yeah.
And having just that small town community feel of people understanding what's going on, people talking about crazy days and getting people out out and
Yep.
about in Minnesota streets. So things like that really bring me home to my roots. And I did my undergrad at Duluth at UMD, and it was again just really invested in Minnesota, invested in the communities that I've been a part of. And I did spend the last 24 years in the Metro. I was first started teaching at Robbinsdale area schools. I was a middle school teacher, and I really still have a heart for them. I call them my 5-foot toddlers. I love them to death. They're great.
Yep.
And so middle school kids are my bread and butter. Their energy keeps us young, and we need that. But after I got out of teaching, I went into administration, and I was assistant principal, then executive director / superintendent at a charter school in the Metro. I was there for 15 years, and Beacon Academy was my home, and it served the Northwest families, and it really had a mission to teach Spanish to all of our students, and also the social emotional curriculum, and which was a huge component of it, even when I joined in 2004, when the school started in 2004. But it was a really big into social emotional growth, and I learned a ton working with kindergarten through 8th grade students there. At our peak, we had over 650 students, and it was a great place to cut my teeth as an administrator, and it was a great place to really understand what it meant to listen to community members, listen to families, and understand what it was to serve a community, and that really taught me a lot about being a servant leader and a servant leader who really wants to instill in everybody that works at New Ulm Public Schools this idea that we're here for the families, we're here for the community, and to be a pillar of the community, you have to listen, you have to understand, and you have to look at the needs and be responsive.
Excellent. So you did your schooling here in Minnesota,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome. We like hometown people. So how was your first year?
My first year I did a lot of listening, and it's going to be that way. I mean, we have 20, almost 2,200 students. We have 400 staff. We have a large community that encompasses, many communities, many towns that, send their students, their kids into New Ulm Public Schools. So I listened a lot. I spent a lot of time on committees and in groups that, just trying to understand, where people are coming from, where are some needs, how can I connect dots, how can I look at things from my seat in the superintendent's office, knowing that the drive for each of the buildings, knowing that the drive for the district, a lot of it is, in place and coming from, a strategic plan that was in place. The principals were really invested in it. And so I spent a lot of time listening, and I really enjoyed my first year. We had an amazing year for both academics, academic competitions in the state, did really well at Knowledge Bowl and some other things. We had a fabulous year in athletics, so we had some students and some teams go to state. And it was really an opportunity for me to see New Ulm shine in so many different ways as far as a school district and a community. It was an exciting year, and I look forward to many more.
So I noticed quite often you were with or in different attendance centers. You seem to get your picture taken a lot with kids doing different things. Is that something that you enjoy doing, being hands-on with the kids?
Oh, well, let me tell you first off, I absolutely love what I do. And I do love being hands-on, whether it's a presentation for the kids, on apples or milk or what's going on in elementary school, about how the world works, and the kids are, there's something about going into an elementary classroom and you walk in and, I never was a stage performer as a musician, but they make you feel like a rock star. They come running up and they're Mr. Koster, and and you get hugs, and the young kids just eat up the fact when administrators are in the room, and it's so much fun. So projects like that, when I'm not distracting what's going on in the classroom, they're really good. They're a lot of fun.
The teacher doesn't just look at you like, do you have to be here now?
Right.
Yeah.
And our timing is always immaculate as administrators.
I'm sure.
Right during silent time. But yes.
Well, and I'm sure middle school and high school kids don't run up and hug you.
No, middle school, again, like I said, they have a unique sense of humor, and if you can break that down and just have conversations. I love the lunchroom and recess with middle school because they're, in their own element and in their own conversations and in their own world, right?
Yeah.
Because it rotates around their little brains and their little heads, which I love because that's just where they're at. And of course, high school, I'm just, everyone's, as they get older, they're just craving to be treated like, adults with, and have those freedoms, those thoughts, those beliefs, and just trying to understand them and, ask them questions and understand what's going on in their world. So it's really just becoming a part of the community and a part of them. But yes, I love being out with the kids, and I love being in all the buildings.
So when you taught middle school, what was your subject?
Oh, I taught language arts.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was, and I tried to do a lot of cross-curricular work with the social studies teacher, and while they were doing Western expansion, we were doing, we were reading treaties and reading different speeches from Native American groups. While they were doing, American history, I tried to tie in as much literature, as much reading, fiction, nonfiction, as I could that tied to what they were working with. But it was always a thrill just to see the kids, light up because, they could find what we were working on in language arts class applicable to the history that they were learning in history class. So I always worked hand in hand with the history teacher, but it was language arts, and it was just a fun middle school concept. We had a team. It was, like I said, Robbinsdale area schools did a nice job of, setting us up for success and putting us on teams. Even though we had 1,200 kids in our middle school, our team was only, there were 4 teams in the 7th grade. We only had a few hundred kids just under, on our team.
Yeah, a little easier to deal with.
Yep.
So you did get out and about to some of the things that go on here in New Ulm during the summer and during the year.
Absolutely.
Never a dull moment, actually.
No. It's just a lot of fun to be a part of the community, whether it was, going down for crazy days and seeing the, the stores that were open up to the street and, the different markets that were coming, or different vendors that were coming into market. It was a lot of fun there. Made it downtown and out to Shells for both Oktoberfest weekends because, of course, now that I live here, I had family coming in town for my oldest kids and my parents that hadn't experienced Oktoberfest, and I hear we have the best one in the nation. So
of course we do.
Yes,
I think we've been voted that, in fact, and it's coming up again soon.
Absolutely.
And like spiking in the street is a different concept than I've ever heard of, but it certainly is an interesting. People can't believe that they actually fill Main Street with sand.
I know. Our chamber's doing an amazing job of,
Yes.
bringing, keeping our Minnesota street and our businesses down there vibrant, and, just, yeah, like that fact of bringing dirt in for the volleyball tournament, bringing turf in for
Yeah.
the bagging in the streets, just having the foresight and the wherewithal to say, okay, what is something different that's going to bring in people from other communities to come in and visit New Ulm and bring people downtown, and the chamber's doing an amazing job. Our businesses are doing great as well.
And I
It's been
think
fun.
too that means that people who might think about moving here see, and see that there's so much for their kids to do,
Yeah.
which is, something that all parents are concerned about, especially in the summer when sometimes kids tend to run a little wild.
Oh, absolutely. And
We have children.
Yeah, and we have a great park system, and the BMX track, and there's so much for kids to do.
Yep.
Our biking route around town. There are a lot of community activities. The library upstairs does an amazing job of working
Oh,
with
yes.
community ed and putting programs in place. Not just for kids, for adults too, but there are quite a few. From chess to things that have to do with literature. It's been fun watching those flyers come through our community
Yes.
pages to our families.
Yeah, so is there something new coming this year? Any surprises in our school system that you can divulge at the moment?
No surprises. We're looking at strategic planning this year, so we'll do some community focus groups and some focus groups with students. Bring some teachers in. We'll do we'll try to gather a lot of feedback from stakeholders to look at our strategic planning. And look, by March we have consulted with a company that will start that work head on. I already
Yeah.
met with our the cabinet, the district's cabinet this month, and we'll start meeting with groups and listening to people in September and October, and again really taking a vested interest in what the stakeholders are saying, and how we're doing as a school district compared to community needs, what the desired outcomes are for families and students, and understand how can we meet the needs of our community as a public school system. And so I'm really excited about that. Our cabinet and our board are going to be invested in that over the course of the year, and come March we'll have a good product that again starts with listening, starts with understanding, and conceptualizing what it is that New Ulm is in need of. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing on the plate for the school leadership outside of the normal day-to-day. As far as surprises, none that I can think of, but when you're working with 2,200 kids, there's always surprises.
Yes, I only have 2 grandchildren, and that's always interesting. So, what do you see as the biggest need?
Well, I know we had some federal funding end this past year, and I know we had a community service, a community schools position that was funded through that grant, and we didn't get the grant for community schools. So I know we have some social workers and counselors that are going to probably be stepping up to fill some needs. But I think the biggest need that is just looking at families and looking at how can we support what needs they have. I know we have programs that send food home for the weekend. I know we have programs that provide school supplies. We have different things in place, but it's always just keeping an ear to that and understanding what the
Yes.
needs of the families are. As Brown County's population ebbs and flows and changes, I know those are some of the needs that have come up, and I think without the position, I think we'll have to be well aware of how do we address the needs of the families and the community without the community schools liaison.
Yes, and I know that there's been some talk in some of the churches about adopting some, getting ready to take care of some of the needs in especially Jefferson school system or school area. So I don't want to keep you very long because I know you are very busy getting ready for this next school year to start. So is there anything else you'd like to mention for people to, let them know who you are and how easily it is to contact you perhaps, or? if they have
Yeah.
concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. Please feel free to reach out to the district office with concerns. You know, love to have a conversation or sit down with coffee and understand what it is that you see from your perspective and things that are going on in New Ulm and with your students in the public school. I'm always willing to do that, always happy to do that. You know, one of my mantras this year is really to focus on my focus, and my focus this year is really on the school system, our strategic planning, and listening to families, and that's really where I want to focus my focus this year, is understanding from the community. I spent a year really listening within the district last year. I'm trying to widen that out. Being out and about and at a lot of events, but I'd rather, is great, but I'd rather sit down and have more conversations, one-on-ones, and hear, you know, from people within the community. And I think anyone who's willing to reach out, I'm willing to sit down.
Well, we appreciate your coming to both our league meeting when you first got here and making time for me today. I want to thank you so very much. Like I said, I have had children in the school system, grandchildren, and I think they got some of the best education. What they do with it after they leave is totally something different. And I'd also like to thank the New Cat guys for setting up the time for us to do this. The League of Women Voters appreciates the time that it takes for them to set up for our quick little forum. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.